My name is Harrison March. I'm the Community Engagement Coordinator at Heritage Area Agency on Aging. And all of that, I realize is a lot to remember off the bat because I got a long name and a long title at a long place. But if I like to let people know anything, it's that I like to talk a lot. That's kind of at the core of my job, is that I get to brag about my coworkers. We are a nonprofit agency that helps older adults, but the real helping is done by the people that I work with. So I have the joy and pleasure of getting to brag about the cool stuff that they do to help seniors in East Central Iowa. Sort of at the heart of all of our work is this idea that there's no place like home. There's an AARP survey from a couple of years back that found 86% of older adults say they want to stay in their current residence for as long as possible. 86% out of 100. It's a lot of people who agree. And there's a lot of reasons that older adults like where they live. Maybe they moved there to retire because it's nicer weather. Maybe it's where they grew up, and so they wanted to head back home. Maybe they have friends and family there. Maybe they've just been there a long time. Either way, by the time people are older adults, for the most part, they really enjoy where they are and they want to stay there. Now, to do that, a lot of people need support. About 2/3 of older adults are estimated to need some kind of support, whether it's minor interventions or it's big picture, long-term planning to help them age successfully. So where Heritage comes in as an agency on aging is to help older adults do just that, to stay in their homes and in their communities for as long as they can. At Heritage, when I say older adults, what I refer to is anybody who's 60 and older. There are a lot of people who are in their 60s or younger 60s who don't feel like an older adult, or maybe don't think of themselves as a senior, but that classification comes from the federal government. And I'll get a little bit more into how it works with us and the federal funding that we receive, but anybody 60 and older counts as an older adult who's eligible for Heritage services. Work with family caregivers because we recognize that what a lot of older adults need to help stay in their home or in their community is the help of a family member or a friend or a neighbor who maybe helps them cook or helps them pick up groceries or gives them a ride somewhere to, say, an appointment or to run errands. So family caregivers are a big piece of the aging puzzle. In addition to older adults and caregivers, we also work with adults with disabilities. That's anybody 18 and older who needs a support service to help stay in their home and in their community. I will probably say in your home or in your community a lot as we go on here today, because that's kind of at the heart, like I said, of what we do is keeping people in those places. At Heritage, we have services ourselves that our staff offer. That's, one of my coworkers comes to your home to work with you. Maybe they meet you somewhere at a coffee shop, or you come to our office when we're open to meet with them, work one-on-one. We also run a couple of in-person dining sites. Beyond the services that we offer directly by our staff, we also fund services. So when I said earlier, the federal funding that we get, that comes down through, the federal government, from the state government, and we are stewards of those funds to spread around our communities for the services our older adults need. We recognize that there's 100,000 plus older adults in our region, and we have a staff of 21, maybe 22. I'm right around that number. And that's not a big enough staff to reach every single person that we need to. So what we do is take that funding and put it in different local organizations and service providers so that we can reach every corner and really support the people who specialize in things like legal assistance for older adults, things that we aren't necessarily trained for, but we recognize seniors need. And so we can help them access it through that funding. Our service area, obviously, it includes Johnson County. That's what brings me here today. But we serve 7 counties in East Central Iowa. Johnson, and then you kind of just draw a circle around it, and that gets you a good enough picture for the most part. There are a couple counties to the southeast that aren't in our area, but like I said, Johnson obviously brings us here today. So that's important to know. When I say that Heritage is an area agency on aging, that means we're part of a network of these organizations. Sometimes they're called AAAs. We do not do roadside, tire repair. Unfortunately, I'm sure that if we could get some funding for that, we could look at adding it to our service options. But as an area agency on aging, we're part of a network of more than 600 across the nation, and there's 6 of us here in the state of Iowa. And by having these local organizations, we're able to meet the needs of all these little nooks and crannies of our region. Each community's got different resources available, and the seniors need different types of assistance and types of support in all these different areas. So by having local offices we're able to really drill down on the needs right here in our communities. Heritage has been around for about 50 years, and area agencies on aging go back all the way to the 60s. So we've been around a while, and still going strong. Our office is based in Cedar Rapids. I didn't mention that earlier, but like I've said before, we're happy to meet you anywhere that you need help from us. I'll start to get into some of our services here. But one thing before I do, I want to make sure I give you our phone numbers. That's the best way to contact Heritage. If you are interested in getting support, if you maybe know somebody, a family member or a friend who could use some help from Heritage, giving us a call is the best way to get in touch. We've got a couple of different phone numbers. One of them to reach our office directly is 319-398-5559. We also have a toll-free number to recognize that not everybody has a, necessarily a paid phone plan. So that 800 number is going to be 800-332-5934. And both of those will get you to our office. One's just our direct number, and the other one goes through the toll-free setup there. So when people call Heritage for the first time, what they're going to start out with is say, hey, I've got a issue. I need nutrition help. I need access to this service in my community. Maybe it's transportation. What do I do? They're going to send you on to someone that we call an information, referral, and assistance specialist. That's another long title that we have, but they're what I like to think of as our front door. That's how you get into the agency. That's how you get into accessing support and accessing services that are in your community. The people that help run that program, they're sort of like our encyclopedias. You say, I live in Solon and I need a ride to my doctor's appointment at the University of Iowa on this day. This is maybe my ability or my limit in terms of being able to pay for a service. What's available to me? And that person's going to go through our little Rolodex of information and get you the options that are available in your area. Part of the important piece of this program is that we give you all the options that are out there. We aren't beholden to a particular service provider. We don't say, this is the only one for you. You must use this one, even though there are other options out there. We're going to give you information on every service that you have and help you make that choice for yourself. Maybe it's somebody you realize, I've ridden with them before, or my neighbor said they had a positive experience. I'm going to choose this one. Maybe it's related to that provider's ability to accept payment through insurance or through a waiver program. We're going to give you all the info you need to make the right choice for yourself. It's going to be unbiased info, personal to what you need. Like I said, we're not beholden to the service providers. We may fund some of their services and we provide those referrals to them, but ultimately we're beholden to helping you, our consumers. A little bit more in depth than the information and referral is where people go for options counseling. That's somebody who maybe needs a little bit longer term support, or somebody who needs to figure out what sort of waivers or programs they're eligible for. And that's one-on-one work that takes place over the course of time. So if you've got a quick and easy question to answer, we'll help you with that one. If you kind of need to figure some stuff out over time, we'll get you through to an options counselor or a case manager, and they're going to help you out, in accordance with what you need and your timeline, your needs, your ability to get to certain services or programs. It's all going to be personal, all going to be unbiased information for you to make your choices. Another theme that I like to hit on a lot is exactly that, the empowering our consumers to make choices for themselves as they age. So moving on then to some of the stuff that we offer, directly with our staff. Caregiver support and education is a big one. I talked about the role of a family caregiver a little bit earlier, but that person needs support in a lot of different ways. Maybe they've been a caregiver for 10 or 15 years and starting to, just sort of hit a wall a little bit. They've been doing it for a while, but they sort of need to find a way to break through and get back to helping their care recipient a little more thoroughly, or help them find solutions for new problems. We can help people find those services for their care recipient. Maybe the caregiver is just having like a rough go of it. It's been a long, stressful day for whatever reason, because there are ebbs and flows to caregiving. There's great days and there are challenging days. When it's one of those challenging days, we offer just straight up caregiver counseling. You can call and talk through your issues and figure out ways you can resolve some of those problems. Offer emotional support and sort of be an ear to go to when somebody's having a challenging day. When I talk about empowering our older adult consumers, it's important that we do that for our caregivers as well. Because at Heritage, you may interact with us, even if it's, with us daily. It could be for, you can meet with your case manager every day for an extended period of time, but you might not have as intimate of a relationship as you do with the family caregiver. So by supporting that caregiver, that in turn can support the consumer on a very regular basis as well. We do have coming up part of our caregiver education program. It's called the Caregiver Wellness Series, and there will be information in the PowerPoint here. And I am going to put into the chat as I talk here a link to our website. The Caregiver Wellness Series is a 5-part series that's all online, or you can call in and listen toll free over the phone as well, because you recognize not everybody is either comfortable with Zoom or maybe wants to be on Zoom. If you can just call in and sort of leave it on speakerphone, open line type thing. So I put that link in the chat. Head over to our website there, and it's got all sorts of information about when that series is and how you can join it. It kicks off on Tuesday, and it's going to be 1 episode per month for 5 months. Normally, we have a big event in person up here at the Kirkwood campus, but obviously last year we couldn't hold that event due to the pandemic, and they had to make the choice a little bit early this year to bring it back with another virtual series. Hopefully, at some point, either next year or down the road, we're able to add that in-person event again, and that brings caregivers together for food, friendship, get to sort of network with other people, talk about your issues and your solutions that you found as a caregiver, and sort of get to lean into one another. And you can really find a lot of great solutions and friendships that way, as well as learn from speakers like we'll have in this series. So our elder rights program at Heritage deals with a little bit more of the serious stuff that we see, and that's elder abuse and elder self-neglect here in East Central Iowa. It's often underreported. It's difficult to say exactly how often it is because we find that it's underreported, and that's through knowing how many older adults we have, and also the prevalence of it that's estimated by law enforcement agencies. But what we can do at Heritage is either help the person who may be self-neglecting or somebody who is suffering abuse, whether that's from a family member or a caregiver or a neighbor. There are a lot of different ways that elder abuse can happen, unfortunately, and that's what makes it sneaky. One thing that we try to do is shed some light on the topic by talking about it in situations like this today. We also offer trainings on the topic where we can talk about the different types of abuse, how to recognize it, and how to report it. Depending on the situation, maybe it's something that's most appropriate to call Heritage first, so we can set up a consultation, put together a long-term plan for an intervention. Maybe if you're living with somebody who is being abusive, that long-term plan involves, finding a new place for you to move, getting you set up in there, and making sure you've got long-term supports in place that can make that sustainable solution. We're not just going to pluck an older adult out of one abusive situation and drop them off somewhere down the road and say, good luck, we got you out. We need to get you out, but also help you get started anew. Beyond those trainings, beyond what Heritage has for direct contact as a first resource, sometimes it's most appropriate to involve law enforcement right away. Unfortunately, physical abuse does occur for older adults, and in a situation like that, it may be most appropriate to get in touch with local police departments right away. Getting a training from Heritage specialist kind of helps outline, if you're seeing this is the best action step to take right away. And eventually, a lot of these things tie in together. If it is something where you need to call the police department first, they may loop in Heritage and other organizations afterwards to help you get that long-term plan in place.
Do you have specific resources or services for new caregivers?
That's a great question. Thank you. Yes. So one of the more, interesting parts about the family caregiving journey is that it can start really in any sort of way. Sometimes there is a slow but observable path toward becoming a caregiver. Maybe that's somebody who's slowly developing signs of dementia. You can kind of pick up on it over the course of days, weeks, months. Other times, somebody wakes up in the morning and has a fall and suddenly is, not capable of navigating the home safely, whether that's temporarily or permanently. So a lot of people are thrust into the caregiving role very suddenly. At Heritage, we can meet the caregiver at any step in the journey and start providing information on what we have, the services I mentioned that we've got, but also what's available locally so that we can try to get you solutions right away. Another course that we have that's separate from our wellness series is something called Powerful Tools for Caregivers. And that's a course that I think it's 5 or 6 classes, and we offer those 4 or 5 times a year. And that course helps people sort of get oriented as a caregiver. And that can be at the very start of your journey, but we've also had people take it who have been a caregiver for a while, but want to make sure they've got all of their bases covered. And so they learn things about communication tips, how to find local resources through a place like Heritage or other caregiver services in the area. And it really takes you from that very first step of being a caregiver all the way to making sure that you know how to take care of yourself as well. So absolutely, we can meet a caregiver at any point in their journey. The next thing I'll talk about, this is one a lot of people think of when they think about older adult services, and that's nutrition. Whether it's congregate dining, going to a location to gather around the table, play cards, laugh, share memories, and have a meal together, or it's something like Meals on Wheels that comes right to your door. Those are things that Heritage can help you find in your community. I know in Johnson County, we work closely with the Iowa City Senior Center on their congregate dining program. We also are a funder for Meals on Wheels. So if you remember earlier when I talked about how there are some services we don't provide directly, but we provide funding for, Meals on Wheels is a good example. We're heavily involved with that program here in the Cedar Rapids, Iowa City corridor and a little bit beyond as well. And so if you're looking for that type of program, we can get your referral to the one that serves your community. Beyond the nutrition and what we put into our bellies, Heritage also offers wellness classes. Those are ones that focus more wholly on older adults' health. All of our wellness classes are evidence-based classes. So Brian is our teacher for those, and he loves baseball. He played baseball in college, but we don't have older adult wiffle ball because there's no way to prove that's going to help people be healthier. So what we do offer are classes like Tai Chi for older adults, things like Matter of Balance that teach people not only better physical skills so they can strengthen the muscles they need to balance, but also how to make sure they're living in a safe environment, removing tripping hazards from the home. Some of them are things that you might think of as obvious, and other ones are a little bit more subtle, like knowing if I move my chair back 6 inches from where it is now, that's going to create a safer path for me to walk through. So it's really looking at the entire home environment. All of these, like I said, are evidence-based, which means they've been studied over time and show that they do, in fact, help older adults live safer, healthier lives as they age. And I'll say it again, remain in their home and in their community, because that's what we love to see. The last part that's really relevant right now is our senior farmers market checks. If anybody here has been on it before, I know it's a very popular program. We get a lot of requests for them every summer. And that's a program where we work with the state to get vouchers for fresh produce at farmers markets. So you can get 10 $3 vouchers, sign up for the program. There's the only real hard and fast requirement is meeting an income guideline. But if you do, we'll get you all signed up, drop those in the mail, or you can pick them up. And you head down to the farmer's market and you see somebody's got, I don't know what's in season right now. I'm not great at that information, but let's say it's tomatoes and cucumbers and they look really good. And then they've got this little icon that says they take the farmer's market checks. And so older adults can get fresh produce at the local farmer's markets. All those programs, all you got to do, just call Heritage. Everything I've said so far, you just call Heritage and we'll help you out. Whether you've got questions about a specific thing or you say, hey, I am getting a little bit older and I'm just wondering about what I can do to improve A, B, and C in my life, and we'll help you find those solutions. A couple of last little things I always like to hit on that aren't as in-depth, but are still important to the work we do in helping older adults. One of them is our employment program. So we help older adults who are trying to re-enter the workforce, whether they've been out for a while for any number of reasons. It could have been that they, left voluntarily before. Maybe they had some type of accident or illness that prevented them from working for an extended period of time. We work with our local VOC rehab office to help older adults find employment opportunities that are both appropriate for their skill level, but also their interests. We try to do some job training, coaching, interview prep, things of that nature. I mentioned before, a funder of services here in our 7-county region. And I just want to hit on that again. Like I said before, we've got these things that we can do as our small staff of 20 or so people, but to reach all tens of or hundreds of thousands of older adults in East Central Iowa, it's important that we provide funding all throughout the region. So we are connected in a lot of ways that aren't just how our staff can help you directly. I mentioned before as well that we are an aging and disability resource center. That's the work we do with adults who are living with disability. That's anybody 18 or older who just needs access to a long-term support that helps them stay in their home and in their community. You're probably starting to guess that that's where I'm getting with all these points. And you're right. I like to think of the work that Heritage does as this big puzzle. Everybody who comes to us, they've got a different amount of progress done with that puzzle. Maybe they've got one piece in place and they need help with 99. Maybe they've got 99 in place and need help with just the one. Our job as Heritage to sort of identify where you're at, talk to you about where you feel you need to get those pieces from. Maybe it's a nutrition piece. Maybe it's a wellness class. It could be support for your family caregiver. We help you find those pieces through not only our programs and services, but the ones that are available locally, making referrals, helping you get a foot in the door certain places, so that when you're done working with Heritage, whether it takes 20 minutes or 2 minutes on the phone, or whether it takes 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, whatever it is, we're going to help you complete that puzzle. And once you're happy and content with it and you feel you are empowered to stay in your home and stay in your community, then we'll be happy about, saying, we'll see you later. We'll stay in touch. Call us if you need us, but we'll be with you every step of the way until that puzzle is complete. And I'll give you our phone number one more time while I'm here in case you're interested. It's 319-398-5559. And then our toll-free number is going to be 1-800-332-5934. And those are both going to get you right to our office. Like I said before, one of them just a toll-free option. And that is the very best way to get in touch with us, because we can get your information either right on the phone or you can leave a message and we'll get back to you within 1 or 2 business days at the very most, if not on that same day. And that's going to get you through that front door that I mentioned. That's our information and assistance specialist who's got all the answers you could ever need from our little encyclopedia of older adult services, all the way through our more in-depth and long-term programs. Calling that phone number it's one phone call that can really open the door to thousands of possibilities that are going to keep you in your home, in your community. I'll say it one last time as you age here in East Central Iowa. With that, I'll be happy to answer any questions that people may have, or just shoot the breeze for a while too. I'm a pretty informal guy. Maybe you picked up on that, but I'm happy to answer questions here, or I've also got my phone number on this last slide. So if you've got questions later and want to reach out, that's perfectly okay as well. At the end of the day, we're in the helping business. So as much information as we can provide to local older adults and caregivers and adults with disability that help them thrive, we're happy to do that.
Okay.
If not, that's perfectly fine too. Like I said before, maybe that means I covered all my bases. I like to think that it's that. But if there are sort of more questions as we go along or throughout the day, throughout, the coming weeks, my info will be on there for people to reach out.